Welcome to the Story Eyed Podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Jen. On this show, we talk about all things Williams syndrome. We're excited to share our community with you. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
Hello.
I sort of feel like like when we get into the medical discussions, maybe it works a different part of the brain because you're like assessing what he is saying sort of more in a clinical matter and not in a bad way, just so you're able to have a little bit of separation from the emotionality of it.
But then this one,
we have to talk about all of emotion,
all the feeling,
which is I think it's a good strategy when we talk about grief, right? I mean, like when you brought up Joel, like, can we talk about these rash of deaths that we've had and we've been having, and we're all trying to make sense of it, like it's hard because people don't want to talk about it, and they also don't want to not talk about it, but they also don't want to say the wrong thing, but you got to have something to say, and how do you make sense of all that? So I think this multi-layered approach and kind of addressing the emotional aspect of it and the mental aspect of it and the clinical aspect of it is really helpful, because hopefully between this, however many series this is, people will find a nugget. And that's all we hope that you get, is like a nugget that helps it be easier.
Yeah.
And honestly, for like me, like even just talking about it for like the last hour or so, I already feel a bit better. I already, freeing, and it's been therapeutic. Even though grief sucks, when you talk about it, it can be therapeutic. You know?
Did you guys ever watch WandaVision? Disney. On Disney, part of Marvel. It's a Marvel superhero show. The through line of it, though, is actually it's a kind of a meditation on grief. And there is the thing that absolutely took my breath away. There's this line: "What is grief but love persevering?"
Yeah.
And I can't think of a more succinct, beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah, like it is, I don't want to say exacerbated, because maybe that's not the right word, but because we are connected through the internet, and it seems fast and it seems like a lot, but I mean, I even think the same thing about some of the other things that come up, right? And it's like, I'm kind of, as a parent, preparing myself mentally. I can even say Stella was diagnosed last year with a chronic kidney issue that, isn't necessarily related to Williams syndrome, but I think because of her Williams syndrome is predisposed to getting things or having abnormalities just in general with health. And so part of it is also understanding that that does come with it, right? That our kids are, I don't want to say medically fragile, but you know what I mean? They're just susceptible to things, and that I hate it.
Yeah.
It's scary.
I don't know if I'll keep this in, but I feel like sharing it. Earlier this week, so Bennett's just had a cold. Not a big deal. Nothing special about it. Cold with a cough. And so last Sunday, the coughing and the gunk in his nose made him throw up.
Okay.
And throwing up is can be and he was really shaken up by that. He was like, okay, what's going on with me that I'm throwing up? Ultimately, it was fine. He threw it up. He felt a ton better. And I'm like, hey, you just learned how to boot and rally. That's going to come in handy for you later years. And so he, went to bed and everything was fine. Wake up the next day. All of us are tired. He's super tired. His cold is a little worse, and it's like, okay. And he's like, but I feel like I want to go to school anyway. I'll just, give me some cold medicine. So he goes off, has a regular day, comes back. He actually had a hockey game that night. And I was like, if you don't feel like playing, you don't have to play, dude. If you're sick. And he's like, no, I think it'll do me good. So he was like, I was like, way to go, kid. Way to step it up. That night, he goes to bed. And when Bennett goes to bed, Jennifer and I, my Jennifer, not this.
Yeah,
Jennifer.
not me.
My wife, Jennifer.
Could be easily confused, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know how that works in Colorado and Minnesota, but.
But so Jennifer and I go upstairs and we'll, watch a little TV, maybe have a cocktail, and then go to bed. we go upstairs, and Herb, our dog, Herbert, he gives Bennett some kisses goodnight and then comes with us upstairs. Bennett goes to bed. Herb comes in. Herb will not leave Bennett's room.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what's going on, Herb? What's happening? And so I'm like, come on, bud. He's got to get to bed. He's got to get to sleep. So I get Herb to come up to the first, to the first landing. We just live in a
Mhm.
little split level. So he comes up to the first landing, and I'm like, come on. I like shake treats, and he won't come. And then he goes back down, and he's waiting at the door to go back downstairs. And I'm like, what is happening here, bud? And so I'm like, did you forget your favorite toy? And so I open the door, we go back in, and he goes and he runs right back into Bennett's room and sits there. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, I'm just gonna let you sit there, and then I'll come get you again when it's time for bed. I lost it. I came upstairs and I absolutely lost it, because what have we seen a gazillion times on the news and in shows? Dogs know things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dogs
Instinctive.
know things before we do.
Yeah.
I and I'm like, what is Herb picking? What does Herb know?
Like he's sensing something.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I can't just sit and stare at Bennett while he sleeps all night, because also, frankly, if there's an event, I don't know that I'm going to be able to stop it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it was basically no sleep for Joel that night,
Yep.
based on absolutely nothing. And that's what made it even scarier, is Herb just didn't, he wouldn't leave his side. And I'm like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
and if something did happen to Bennett, how could I possibly live with myself when my dog is sitting there telling me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we had no evidence to think to the contrary. So the next morning, I'm awake, and the time comes to get Bennett up for school, and my wife's like, "Why don't you take Herb outside, and
Mhm.
I will go downstairs?" And I'm like, "Okay." Hey, my wife is the bravest, strongest person that I know. Maybe second only to my son. And next thing I know, up they come, both of them.
Fine.
And Bennett's like, Dad, what's you like kind of looking at me like you look like hell. Like you look like crap. And I'm like, yeah, this has been a night. Oh, and I was like, what was that, Herb? I was trying to understand what that was. Sarah, I was talking to Sarah about it. And as a fellow parent and one of my
Yeah.
closest confidants, she was like, did you ever think that maybe all of this talk that we've had lately, and all of the work that you have been doing around death with the WSA, Herb may have been picking up on your energy and was saying, Dad, don't worry, I got this guy.
Aw.
Yeah.
And then I proceeded to lose it again. Just ugly crying with your boss. That's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we get it.
So, yeah, this subject is not
No.
fun, but we have to talk about it.
Yeah. It's not fun.
No.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but like I sleep with Stella every night, and it's because I am like so afraid that something's going to happen to her. Like
Yeah.
it's up, and I know it, but I can't, and I
Yeah.
pray over her every night, and I think about, like, I did know Jen, and I think about her, and as much as I can like logically like explain to myself like what happened, like there is I don't even know how to say it. There's this realization as a parent that it's really probable that my child is going to die before me. And
Yep.
like, I know I'm like telling myself all the grief and all the things that like, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want to will it upon myself, right? Because I also believe in all that too. And so it's like, I got to manifest like good energy, but what you're saying, like,
Right.
there's the logical part and there's the emotional part. When, what do they say in like therapy? Like, usually you need therapy when your head and your heart are not in alignment. And this is one where it's very hard to be in alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one last thing I want to
I mean, this is great.
No, I mean, yeah, it sucks, but there's one last thing that I want to make sure that if there is anybody that has lost somebody with Williams syndrome, to make sure that you know that you're still part of this community
Yeah.
and you can be involved in whatever way you want. Not at all or jump in and be part of whatever.
Yeah.
But just because your person is gone does not mean that you are not part of
Yeah.
this, part of
You're
everything
not
that
important.
we're trying to do. So,
Yeah. I
just
think that's part of the journey too, right? Like, I mean, there's Williams syndrome is a journey, and
yeah,
we've got to honor all phases of
Woo.
it.
Yeah.
Can I reach through the screen and hug you both? Come here. Come
Uh,
here.
Oh, I-
Hi, I'm Morgan Jane Starkman from Inner Sense Organic Beauty, and I'm so excited to share something that I love, our Hair Renew Scalp Hair Bath and Soothing Conditioner. Soothes my hair and soothes my scalp irritation. These products leave my scalp feeling truly calm, and they make me feel confident and cared for, and I think you'll love them too. Let's take care of our scalp and hair together. Try them today and save 15% on your first purchase with my code Morgan15 at InnerSenseBeauty.com.
Well,
Okay.
all right, let's get into this. Hey, Martha. Hey, Jeff. How are you guys?
Well, hi, Brendan.
Hi, Brendan.
How we feeling?
It's been a rough week and a half. It has been 4 people this week and a half that have died in our community.
Yeah.
So far, I know of 3 that have died. 1 was a cardiac arrest. 2 were cancer related.
Yeah.
It just shakes me to the core every time. Like, you may not know the person, that doesn't matter. They're still part of the community.
Yeah, no, I knew Kim very well, and I knew she was sick because we talked privately a while ago, when everything was starting out for her with cancer and stuff, and it hits you really hard.
It does.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, like, you could have met them once and then you hear that they're gone, and it's just like, that doesn't make sense.
No, and I only met Jen twice. I met her at the convention in, I think, Schaumburg and then in Phoenix. And I didn't really get to spend too much time with her, but from what I remember hanging out with her and stuff, she was really cool.
Yeah, and I was talking to some friends the other day, and they're really scared right now, and
Yeah.
they're just panicking. They're trying to get all their appointments done, their heart appointments, their shrink appointments. I see my counselor in a few weeks, so I'll talk to them about all this stuff and try to just get it all out of my system, because it's they usually say death comes in threes, but when the 4th person died, I was like, okay, this is not good at all. Like,
Yeah, no.
heart
it's-
So,
heart
so,
issue.
so, Jeff, it sounds like that you're experiencing a couple of things. First, you're really scared that something might happen to you, but then you're also grieving the loss of these people you know, or the people who are part of the community. So it's kind of like a
Yes.
double whammy.
I am definitely scared and shook. It's just crazy what's been going on lately. Like, I don't know if you remember Brian Warner.
Yeah, it was his 1 year anniversary yesterday.
Yes.
Wow.
The crazy thing is, the night before he died, me, Will, Kuhn, and a bunch of others were on a group chat with him,
Yeah.
and we were goofing off, laughing, and just roaring with laughter. And then the next day, I get a text from Will saying he's gone. I'm like, what do you mean gone? And then he told me what happened. My jaw just hit the concrete, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
it's very natural to feel that way, Jeff. And I know, just like in all of us feel that way when somebody passes away and or somebody that is kind of in our age range or, in our similar circumstances. But what's unique, I was just thinking like what's unique about the Williams syndrome community is there's so much love
Yeah.
and so much care for people. Like our general society, like, yes, we're sad, but we tend to like be able to move on very
Yeah.
quickly. And what I love about you guys is that you celebrate these individuals, and just that story about Brian, like how wonderful is it that he got to spend some of his last, moments with you guys and in community and friendship. Like that's hard. That's hard to because you remember that, but that's also like such a wonderful blessing and, something that probably really meant a lot to him.
oh yeah, without a doubt. I know that The laughter, the laughter, the laughter.
His laughter was so infectious. I knew Brian for well over 20 years, and my favorite thing about him was his laughter and his sense of humor. He had one of the greatest senses of humor ever, and he was always so kind and always
Yes, oh,
super gentle,
very gentle and
just very
always,
loving, and
yes, and very quick to crack a joke.
yeah. He would
And
always
it's,
say, "Hey, bro, Tato Chip, what's up, dude?"
yeah, and it's
Stuff
just,
like that.
and I think that while the deaths really shook us as a whole community, I think also it brought us even closer together.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, like I said, word spreads like crazy.
Yep.
And it's just one of those things where you got to remember that even though people die, like everybody's going to die, no matter what you do, you can stay
Right.
healthy as an ox and you can die. You can be sick as heck and you can get better, but eventually you're going to die.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a real bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's good. I don't know if I'm going to be alive forever.
That's true. Yeah, you know what? Gosh, Martha, that's so true. I'm experiencing on the caregiver side, my dad is elderly, and watching my mom pass away and watching his brother just passed away, and my dad is so lonely. He's like, everybody around me is dying, and like, you're right. Like, when you're young, you think, gosh, I want to live forever, but as you get older, you see that there's some challenges there with that too. So
Yes, there is. There's a bunch of challenges.
yeah, I'm curious for the two of you, because we're such a feeling and sensitive community. When you guys hear about somebody passing away, are there any strategies or tips that you use to help? I know you said it spreads like wildfire, but like, how do you keep it from getting out of control? Like sitting with the grief and, like in feeling that, but also not letting it get like
Personally, I face it because I know it's just not going to go away unless I face it.
Yeah.
I face it head on and I deal with it. The one thing I learned, one of the greatest things I learned was when I went to the Baltimore convention and we had workshops at the end of the week. And the greatest thing I ever learned was it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel how you feel. Your feelings are valid and your feelings matter. So since then, I've always just been like, all right, I have to deal with this. Otherwise, it's going to eat me alive. And that's why I
Yeah.
deal with it so that it doesn't eat me alive,
Yeah. How about you, Jeff?
Sure.
For me, I tend to sit with it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I tend to sit with the feelings and
There you
I
go.
tend to sit with it and I tell myself that it's okay to grieve, it's okay to cry, but don't sit with things for too long because it'll just eat you up.
Yeah.
Like yesterday at work, I got pulled into the office because they were noticing something was off, and I broke down and I told them everything that was going on about the deaths and how hard it was affecting me and how like destroyed I was feeling inside and gutted, not just for me, but for the families that knew the people and for the family and friends of those people who died.
Well, I
It's
have to make a confession that as a parent, sometimes I don't take Jeff's feelings seriously enough.
Yeah.
And he's taught me that just like all of us, we need to express those feelings and we need people to talk to and people that let us, validate those feelings. Like, yeah, you're feeling really sad and it's really hard.
Yeah.
And tell me the sweet thing. So we were talking on the way to church the other day. We had a little bit of time in the car and we were talking about this. It was just 3 deaths at that point. And you told me the sweetest thing about what you were thinking about, Jeff.
I had a dream on Saturday night about my grandma, and had a dream that she was welcoming all my friends with Williams syndrome and non-Williams syndrome, just welcoming them, giving them a big hug, telling them that she was my grandma and everything like that. And I just really miss her a lot. And this doesn't make things easier at all.
But that was a real comforting thought. I mean, it really touched me. I thought, oh, that's neat. There are people, in heaven or whatever you believe, that there are people on the other side that are welcoming these. It doesn't make it easy, but it's just kind of I thought it was a loving thought to hold on to.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we were starting this recording, Martha, you had said something about how, I don't want to mess up your words, but like how we tend to just, talk about grief and gloss over it, but, for our community, it is a real big part of
Because we
the,
have hearts the size of the world, and
yeah,
it's a blessing and a curse big time. Because
I would say one of the problems with our society is that we don't honor grief or validate it. And it may be part of the reason that we're in such a sad state right now is because we kind of keep denying
Yep.
the grief and the sadness and the emotion. So I think you folks with Williams syndrome have a lot to teach us that you experience things. And
yeah,
We're working on it. We're working on it.
we tend to experience things more than others. Like, yes, people will grieve, but like they won't grieve for as long as we do
Mhm.
sometimes. Because like, I don't know, for me, I tend to hang on for a while, and I know that's not healthy, and I'm working on that part really hard.
I suppose there's a balance between grieving. It's funny. I found this graphic the other day that talks about grief. Like maybe you say grief is this big, and we think that over time that grief gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But in fact, the grief is always there, but the rest of our world gets larger and larger. So it takes up less space, basically.
Mhm.
But again, it's just a validation that you will always have that grief. It will never go away. But again, there's ways that you can kind of befriend it and live with it and, become better because of it. You guys are just talking about how it builds communities when you go through a tough time together. And that's really important.
Yeah, grief sucks, but you just learn to live with it,
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it was for you, Martha, but like when Stella was diagnosed with Williams syndrome, I went through a really hard time.
Yeah,
And I now on the other side of it, I'm like, gosh, like that hardest thing that probably ever happened was the best, most beautiful thing in my life. And I've grown so much from it. And so, yeah, I think that it's typical human nature to just go, okay, like, let's just move on and move forward with it. But understanding that grief is natural and that it is part of growing and everything's cyclical, right? So not that you're trying to categorize it, but it does process what's happening.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that's part of how I process is like, okay, look at what happened to them, what their death was, and what caused their death, and not by just saying, okay, they died because they had Williams syndrome.
Right.
Right.
good idea.
Because I think our community does tend, why I say our community, Williams syndrome, right? We just go, like it's a person that died with Williams syndrome. And there are like so many other different factors that can lead to something like that. And we have to rationalize those. Like, I'm in my 40s, late 40s, and like people die of heart attacks in their late 40s. Like that is a thing that happens. And, Jen was 52 and she had cancer, and that is something that happens as we age. And so some of it is the natural part of aging, but it's
and there's so many things that we don't know outside of like what people actually say to what actually happened and what the circumstances were. And so there's people in the community spread things like wildfire, embellish things, and it's like, no, this is what actually happened.
But that reminds me,
go ahead.
Jen, when you talk about body, one of the really important things when you're going through grief is to take care of your own body.
Yes, and to take care of yourself.
Yes.
And
self-help is so important too.
Self-care is very, very important. And what bugs me the most, like when like someone dies with Williams syndrome that's younger than me, that really scares the living crap out of me. Because I'm
thinking about things about going outside and taking a walk in nature and getting them. Jeff gets massages. Shouting, putting on a song and singing. I've been doing a lot of Taylor Swift. Shake It Out lately. That's really
shake it off, Mom.
Actually,
shake it off. Yeah, you get massages, Jeff. That's good.
Yes. Yeah. And with that, I have to go, but it was good to talk to everyone.
You're leaving us? You're leaving?
Yeah, I got to go to work.
I mean, rude. No.
Jen.
Rude of work to make you go to work.
Well, hey, I got to make a living.
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's responsible, and I can appreciate that.
Yes.
Bye. Love you. We'll talk
Thanks
soon.
for sharing. That was great.
Soon.
Well, we can just continue our conversation. I'd love to hear, like, as a parent, what strategies that you have helped? You were just talking about some of them with Jeff, but
Yeah.
is there anything else that, for parents that are listening or caregivers that have a loved one and who is feeling really, deep in the grief about
Well,
this?
I don't think he's read this yet, but there's a book called Tear Soup.
Yes.
It's done by an organization called Grief Watch.
Yeah.
I just got this book, and they've got some really wonderful resources. So, like, again, sometimes a book like this can be really helpful, and then they have a lot of ideas and ideas in the back too. And this was, I think it was made for kids, but it's one of those things that is really good for adults too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another thing I found the other day, because after talking to Joel, I was just thinking about things. There's a website called What's Your Grief?
Mm-hmm.
And they have 5 tips for living with the grief monster.
Okay, great.
And that sounded really was really kind of a cute way to address it. That it is like a monster. Now I'm crying too, but it is a monster, but it's like one of those monsters that you can befriend and learn to live with, because it's not going to go away.
No, and I mean, these last 2 years, especially with people passing away in the Williams community. So, grief is an absolute monster, but, you just learn to live with it,
Yeah.
Well, and that reminds me, our society, right, is so traumatized right now. And
Yeah.
so I think it makes everything else worse.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess one of the ways I deal with what's going on in our society and all the authoritarianism and thing is, trying to find, one way how do I make a difference? What's one thing I can do? So that's another thing is again, you can't do everything and you can't solve all the problems, but sometimes if you can find one thing you can do, like even just sending a card to, the parents or friends. So that's another way to.
Is that something you do? Do you do that?
Brendan, you
Do
talking
you
to?
do that? Martha? Send
Sometimes.
cards?
Well, yeah, right now I'm doing all sorts of things to address
Yeah.
what's going on. We've started-
Sometimes, and I have deep conversations with my friends, and I call my friends and check on them. Like, what was it? 2 days ago, it was Brett's dad's 2-year anniversary. So I called him and we had a long conversation, and
But that's
Yeah.
really neat, Brendan. You do that because, one of the things that happens is when somebody dies, we're kind of afraid to bring it up. But
Mhm.
usually the person, like this was like over 10 years ago, there was a 16-year-old that died at our church.
Yeah.
And it was just a really sad, sad story. But then people don't want to talk about it because they're afraid, we'll make mom sad. But more than
but it's
anything,
okay to feel that way.
well,
It's
but she
okay.
wants to remember her son's life, and she
Yeah.
wants to know that he touched other people and that he continues to touch lives. So again, it's really helpful and don't be afraid of talking about the person who died.
Right. Yeah. I straight up asked him, like, how are you feeling? Like, are you okay? I know it's your dad's 2-year anniversary. I want to check in because you're one of my dear friends, and I want to make sure you're okay. And we had really deep conversation, and
Well, and sometimes it's fun to say, well, what do you remember about him, or what do you miss about him, or what would he,
what are
I,
your fond memories?
yeah. So after
Yeah.
my brother died, kind of at 60, every week I'd send my family a picture of him because I had all the family photos, and
Yeah.
just a way to remember him. So they're people who people want their loved ones to be remembered. So oftentimes,
Yeah.
if I've got a special friend, on the anniversary, I'll send out a photo if I have something, or at least
Yeah.
a note saying I'm thinking of the special
Yeah.
one.
I love that. That's so intentional, and just, societally speaking, we just don't do that. And you're right. I mean, it goes a long way. And I'm interested to hear from both of you about like therapy. Did Jeff say he goes to therapy?
Yeah, multiple therapies.
Okay, great.
He's got a counselor he sees every few weeks. Because he's on meds, he's got a psychiatric nurse practitioner that he's got to see. And then he's done neurofeedback.
Oh,
And, that's been helpful for dealing with anxiety and other things.
Yeah.
So, and he just started music therapy.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really a good way, he just got a djembe, a big drum for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way for him to work out feelings and anxiety.
Yeah, I definitely think that Stella's at the 15, and I've been thinking about what it would look like for her to go to therapy, just to be able to have somebody to talk to who's relatively unbiased about, she has anxiety as well. And I think that's a, common undercurrent in our community. And you add the emotional part, right? The sensitivity that the individuals with Williams syndrome have, and like they need to talk a lot about things and work through things many, many times. And I know therapy has been so healthy for me personally that I was just curious if you found it useful.
Oh yeah, and what they recommend, I think, for the Williams syndrome community is cognitive behavioral therapy. So
CBT, yeah.
CBT, if you can find
Okay.
someone. Did you do that, Brendan?
No, I went to therapy when I was younger for a lot of things, and then I it's been quite a while. But my biological father is a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I learned we have a lot of conversations, and I've learned a lot of coping mechanisms from him and how to, use those in my toolbox. Like, okay, if I'm anxious, how do I tackle this? If I'm feeling a certain type of way, how do I tackle that? And I listen to a lot of music. I do a lot of deep
Oh,
breathing,
good.
a lot of just like I close my eyes, take a few deep breaths, remind myself that I'm okay. It's okay to feel how I feel, but those feelings will pass in time. And yeah, so I'm lucky enough that, I'm able to have that resource. And I know not a lot of people are. And, but I'm grateful that, my biological father chose that route, and
Yeah.
it's been very helpful.
Do you have a playlist that you play when you're anxious
I just listen to whatever, honestly. Mostly calming stuff, just because I don't want to, listen to the heavy stuff and then have my brain more rattled than it already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like very calm, like Enya,
Oh
stuff
yeah, that's
along
good.
those lines, like some nice calming bluegrass or,
I
just,
sometimes like go to my Apple Music and type in like healing heart music when I need,
yes,
to
yep.
calm
Or
down or I'm
meditation
anxious about
music.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of good resources there.
yeah,
Yeah, and just like you were talking about like even just shaking it out, right? Like that movement is also so important to help. Like people don't realize like grief can like affect you emotionally, but also affects you really physically. So even like massage, like Jeff was talking about, or dancing or movement or yoga or whatever you want to do, bike riding, getting out and going for a walk, those things also help your body process those, emotions and sure don't make the grief go away, but make it a little bit more tolerable.
Yeah, for me, for like instance, like if I get too stressed or too anxious, my psoriasis will act up. So that sucks. And then I also lose weight because I get so stressed out. So I try not to, but it can be really hard to sometimes. But I really do my best to be like, just slowly roll, Brendan.
Well, yeah,
Calm
I've been,
down.
I have some body issues too, and I keep hearing people say, your body keeps a score. So
Yeah.
your body does react to things, and even when I had that happen to me recently. So even when you think you're handling it all, and something will happen, and you go, oh, I'm not handling this too well.
I eat my pinky finger. It's been acting up. So now I have a spot on my pinky finger. So
So that's a
yeah,
sign of stress, then. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing a chiropractor who does a lot of kind of intuitive healing, and
Yeah.
she'll ask me, well, what's going on in your life that might be causing that, and usually there's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Grief is like we've said, the part of, the natural human experience. And it's like one that doesn't get talked about a lot, but I think we're very fortunate in this community to have such caring individuals and people that are willing to spend the time in grief, but just making sure that it doesn't impact you or your health in a negative way, because that's the sad part, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're not here, then we're grieving you, and
Yeah.
we don't want to do that, right? So just taking care of yourself is the most important thing you can do, while you remember and celebrate others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any other tips for people listening, Brendan?
Just breathe. just breathe, just feel how you feel because it's okay.
Well, so I've got one more. I
Yeah.
put this on the I think there was a Facebook discussion about grief, but it's something. Well, I come from a Christian background, and so I've learned it as a welcoming prayer. But you could just call it welcoming emotions practice, and it's really quick. So when you find yourself getting real emotional, the first thing you do is just kind of focus or sink into the emotion. I often touch my heart. So I sometimes try to identify, well, I'm feeling something. What is that feeling? Is it anxiety? Is it grief? Is it concern? So first of all, you become aware of your body and how you're feeling and what you're feeling. Your stomach might be upset, your jaw might be tightening. And so again, first you just feel the feeling. And then you welcome it. So if I'm feeling anxiety, I might say, welcome anxiety, welcome anxiety. You don't have to say it aloud. You can say it, to yourself. Or you can just say welcome. And this may just happen naturally then. You just let go. As you experience the emotion, it'll probably dissolve. And you can say something like, I let go. Or I let go of this pain, I let go of this anger, I let go of this anxiety. And then if you want, you can spend a little time just journaling or reflecting on what just happened. So that's really helpful for me. So when I find myself getting really upset about something or tense or emotional, even sometimes when it's a happy feeling, excitement or joy, I'll just spend a few minutes, focusing on what the emotion is, experience it, and then letting it go.
Yeah. I sometimes also use the Serenity Prayer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, that one really helps me sometimes with certain things, and yeah, it works.
Do you want to share that with us for people who don't know what it is?
Yeah, the Serenity Prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
When I was a little girl, I had that up on my wall. Somebody gave it to me. That's really a good one.
When my biological father, completed 10 years of sobriety, he gave me his 10-year coin, and then he gave me his 20-year coin. So I have those up in my room, and it has the Serenity Prayers.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah. I even think as we wrap up, I'd love to hear any other last minute things that either of you have. Grief is definitely also designed to teach us something, right? And so just being open, like you were saying, I like that you were talking about verbalizing that, Martha, and like letting it in, because there's something that we can learn from that, learn in ourselves, learn, in terms of how we manage grief. And I think that that's also really beautiful, like knowing that on the hard side of something, that there's also going to be, something positive, maybe not in the moment.
Well, there's a gift that usually comes out of that.
Yeah, maybe not in the moment, maybe not right away, maybe not for years, but eventually you see that and you go, oh yeah, that's why I went through that hard thing, right? Was to get to this point. So I think that also remembering that is very important. I do have a question, Martha. Have you seen like any strategies that have been like a through line for you in parenting, like a person with Williams syndrome, like in terms of how they manage grief or emotions, or have you seen it change from, little to teen life to adulthood?
Well, the hardest thing now that Jeff is an adult is just, people don't change because you criticize them.
Yeah.
And so it's always just, loving and accepting as much as I can, which is, the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially when if you're a controlling mom like me.
Yeah. Well, and so it was partly my own kind of personal spiritual journey is just to the more you love and accept somebody, the more they're able to change. And that's true with Williams syndrome, I think anybody. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I invite anybody listening who is feeling sad and or stressed about what's happening right now. It could be in the Williams syndrome community or what's happening in the world. Like if you're listening to this, you can drop us a comment or a note, and we'll try to have a great dialogue together, because we're all feeling similar things, and that's another part of grief, right? And that you're not alone, that we're all holding this, and we're figuring out what to do with it, and sometimes we don't know what to do with it.
You're definitely feeling the feeling.
One more thing, do you want to mention the webpage?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
There's Joe.
There we go. There he is.
Here he is.
Okay.
Are in loving memory. page that I created on our WSA website. It is a place, hopefully, where people can go and look up individuals that they may have known with Williams syndrome, and the comments are open, so you can leave a memory, post a photo, and hopefully it'll be a place where the love that they left behind, a place where that can just be and exist. And as long as the WSA website is up, that page will hopefully be a testament to the people that have passed. I know that there are people that I don't know about. So if there are someone that you know with Williams syndrome who has passed is not on there, there's a form that you can click on and fill out and let me know so I can get them added to.
But I wanted to come back to one thing that you said in your long ramblings, Joel. A lot of good stuff there, actually.
Which ramble?
But just about doing something in memory of a person, and often they're a fundraiser. We were just talking about how doing something meaningful is one way to deal with grief, and what a wonderful way to figure out doing a walk or I don't know what, cookie sell or whatever every year as a way to remember that person and bring people together. That's a great way to honor.
Again, not to make an advertisement out of it, but if there's something that you would like to do in memory of someone that you love, reach out to the WSA. We'll help you put it together. We'll help you create an event that, that's meaningful. Martha, I can't thank you enough for joining us, and obviously Jeff, for him taking a little time before he had to go to work to talk about this just fun subject.
No, I appreciate you being brave enough to bring it up, because it is so important, and to say we don't want to talk about it, but we need to.
I tell you, when Stella was diagnosed with Williams syndrome, she was 5, and Inside Out was the movie that was out at that time. And boy, I'm like, that is a lesson. This is a lesson that God wants me to hear, is that you can't just have joy. You have to have the sadness too. So now lean into the sadness. It's okay.
I chose Rage. Was that probably,
you know what? That's okay too. I think he had a place.
Not going to help you to be in Rage all the time, Joel.
Yeah. Sorry. Whoops. But thank you, Martha. Thank you so much. And
really good to see you again, Martha.
Yeah, good to see you.
You've been listening to the Starry-Eyed podcast, presented by the Williams Syndrome Association and sponsored by InnerSense Organic Beauty. The show is hosted by Jennifer Keaton and Brendan Lemieux and produced by me, Joel Listman. All music by Tommy Barbarella and Mariella Elm. Got a question for the show? Email us at podcast@williams-syndrome.org. Video version of the podcast available on the Williams Syndrome Association channel on YouTube and on the Starry-Eyed podcast page on Facebook. Audio version available wherever you get your podcast delights. So like and subscribe and help spread some Williams syndrome awareness.